Hey Shooby-Doodlers, how are you doing? Well, I know I haven't posted anything for a while, I'll try and change that, but I was trying to think what to do, and I thought it's going to be Black Friday this Friday, and so I thought I would show you all my favourite kind of drawing things. So if you follow the links in the description box down below to Amazon, then you may be able to get some really good bargains on Friday and get some of my favourite things so that you can use them yourself. Now, I'm not being sponsored by anyone, I've bought all these things myself, so these are my own independent choices. Now, if you follow the Amazon links down below, you won't get charged anything extra, but I will get a little kind of referral fee, so that will help me keep this channel going. But let's not talk about it. Let's go and find out what are my favourite drawing materials. Well, let's start off with pencils, because with my drawing lessons, that's usually where I start off. And I've tried all sorts of pencils. You see me use all sorts of pencils, but I think I've come back to the Mars Lumograph. I really like the series of them, actually. So this is like a 2H, and it's not too hard. Some at a 2H will be really scratchy. And let's take like an HB. So this is kind of your standard in the middle. That's kind of nice and smooth, and then 2B will give you something a bit darker. But what I really love if you get this set, which is the sketching drawing set, when you get up to like the 6B, it starts to get quite serious. But when you get to the 8B, have I got an 8B? I have a 7B. I know I used to have an 8B, I think. When you get up to like the 7B and it gets really, really dark. What it is in a pencil is mostly graphite. But graphite will only get you at a certain darkness. To get really, really dark, then you need to start adding carbon, and that's what they do to get that real blackness. And when you get onto the 8B, then that will get really, really dark, and that's how you get those really dark shadows. So I would say this little set here, the sketching drawing set, is really, really versatile. You can use that for all sorts of things. Now you're going to want to sharpen these, of course, and some pencils, they just don't like sharpening. These always do. And this is my favourite pencil sharpener, is the Cum, K-U-M, automatic long point. So you've actually got two little blades in there, right? So the first one kind of sharpens it up like that. But you get this great sort of knobbly thing there. And the second one then puts the point on this. You get this really nice long point to it, so it's got a long point sharpener. So so that's the Cum long point sharpener and the Staedtler Mars Lumograph. Next, of course, you know I love the Rotring Tikky graphic pen. I generally use a 0.4 or a 0.3, sometimes a 0.5. You can see that I happen to have 0.4s in here, and I just love these pens. So they come in different thicknesses and sizes. I used to use the Rotring isographs a long time ago, which have these metal nibs. You press too hard, they bend, the ink clogs up, they're horrid. Well, they were pretty cool at the time when I used them, but I just love the Rotring Tikky graphic. I've tried lots of pens that have pigment ink in it, and the pigment is very important. So when you've let it dry, it is completely waterproof, and it is very, very black, and it's really good for scanning. I think it's just the perfect pen. So that will be a 0.3. This will be a 0.4, which is just sort of slightly wider. And the 0.5 actually seems to be, you know, a bit of a sort of a quantum leap, slightly bigger again. So I put 0.5, and you have to get used to them. They wear out in different ways. Sometimes what you have here is a metal shaft, and then there is a kind of a fibre tip end, and they do wear down. So usually it depends how hard you're pressing and what material you're drawing on, I suppose. But by the time the ink runs out, you've generally worn the fibre tip out and you throw them away. They're relatively inexpensive, actually. I always thought that they would be much more expensive than they are, but they're not. And I get through these, I buy them by the box, as you can see, because I get through a lot of them. And I just love these, and I can thoroughly recommend these above everything else. I really, really can. Next, you might want to have some colour pencils, and I've tried lots of colour pencils, and I finally come to the Faber Castell Polychromos. I'm trying to remember what There used to be Chroma something. There used to be an American brand, which they just don't do anymore, which was brilliant. And Polychromos seem to, I've finally discovered that they have the similar sort of qualities. They're hard, but they're soft, if that makes any sense at all. So if I like sort of take a blue, I've just got this nice new set. I should say I'm not being sponsored to do any of these. These are the things that I buy. I've bought this set. I'm not being given it. I'm not being sponsored. So they just colour in really, really nicely. But what is also really nice is that they're very waterproof. They won't smudge. So if you want to watercolour over the top of them, that will be fine, just the same as watercolouring over the top of the Rotring inks. See, pencils will tend to smudge. So you could do your pencil work, if you like, with a Faber Castell sort of black. And then they come with various shades of grey as well. So you can build up a pencil-like effect. They are strong. A lot of coloured pencils, when you start colouring them, they sort of crumble and they snap down the middle and everything. These are really strong, so I don't know what they bind them together with, but I love them. They are really, really good. They're not the cheapest in the world, but you get what you pay for. Now what next? Watercolours. So you've seen me use this little set very often. This is the little Winsor & Newton sketcher set, and this is so easy. I take this with me. My daughter made me this funny little wallet, so I sort of stick that in there, and I stick my pens in there, and I take them with me. And this is incredibly cheap. So the basic set, I think it's about £7 or £8. I can't remember. It's not too expensive. But I've changed some things in it. So I've taken out the white, and I replace it with a colour called Naples Yellow, and that gives you really kind of warm, creamy tones. I use it a lot for flesh tones. I should say these are all Cotman colours, which is their cheaper range. So I've replaced it with Naples Yellow, which comes in the artist range, so they're a bit more expensive. And also I've taken out the black, because black just messes up a watercolour painting very quickly, and I've replaced it with neutral tint, which is also an artist's series quality paint. But even buying those, this is a really, really easy little set to get, and you can do so much with it. And it just sits in your pocket and goes everywhere. So you need a paintbrush that will go in your pocket as well. So and here we have the Pentel Aquash brush, and I'm sure you've seen me use this before. And if you haven't seen an Aquash brush, they are absolutely brilliant. You have water in the handle, and so you just fill it up from the tap, and then that screws in there, and then you take the lid off, and with a tiny little squeeze, it gets the water flowing. And if you want a lot of water, you give it more of a squeeze, and then you can sort of paint with it, get some more paint on there, and then we can just paint in those little squares like that. And it is so quick and so easy. My daughter made a little bit at the back here to stick a bit of kitchen towel or an old paper napkin or something in there. Squeeze the barrel a little bit to let some water come through, and it just cleans the brush like that, and you're ready to go with a fresh new colour just like that. Fantastic. And again, I've tried many of these, and I keep coming back to the Pentel Aquash. I think this is the best. It comes in thin and thick, and I can't remember, flat one, I can't remember. Anyway, there are links below. Now, if you've got a little painting set, a little watercolour painting set, you might want a little sketchbook as well. So this, again, you can see that fits in there, and this could fit in the back there as well, just like that. And that kind of wraps around. So this is a really, really nice little sketchbook. This is a Moleskine. And this is their watercolour sketchbook. So when I go to places, this was a great big pond with a statue in the middle of it. I went to a school and all the children were doing gymnastics, a free dance they were doing, that's right. So I went and drew the children doing that. And this was just last night. I went out, and there were some friends of mine in a recorder band, and their heads were just popping above the the music stand, so I did that. And this is just a lovely, lovely, lovely little sketchbook to take out with you. It has that little window at the back. Oh look, that's the day I went to the pond. I went and picked up this pheasant feather as well. So, and it wraps around like that to keep it nice and secure. So that's a really nice watercolour thing to take with you. The paper is really nice to paint on for watercolour. Now for general everyday sketching, then I use these, which are Seawhite of Brighton, and I buy these in such quantity that they print my name on the front for me. Oh, here's another one. So sometimes they are just full of sketches and places I've been and where I go and ideas and things like that. And it depends on what I'm doing at the time. So here, this is kind of a lot of planning going on in this one. So, these are the sort of my everyday kind of workbooks, which I use. And again, they've got a little thing around there, and I just love these. It's just the right size and it does everything I need, really. Now I also like the Seawhite A4 sketchbooks. They're 40 pages. They're not that thick. 40 pages, 20 sheets of acid-free 140 gram extra wet strength paper, so they really do kind of take a bit of battering. You can tell again I buy these in bulk, and when I do, they print my name on there for me very kindly. Thank you, Seawhite. And I really like to use these as workbooks, project books. So at the moment I'm doing a thing, ancient Greek kind of drawing stuff. I've just started this one, and it's just kind of keeps the whole project together. And I just really like these, and they kind of somehow, you know, they're not too big, they're not too daunting, and they just sort of somehow fill up a whole project, and I really like working with them. Again, Sharpie pens, I buy them kind of in a box of 12 because you just seem to get through them. I do find that the points wear down quite quickly, but there's nothing quite like a Sharpie pen. This is another favourite of mine. This is the Pentel Brush Pen. So this has a little cartridge with black ink in it, and this again is waterproof, which is very important. And it has this beautiful, very sharp pointed brush, and it takes a lot of practice to get used to it. So you can draw very finely with it, or you can draw very thickly with it, and you can get those lovely sort of flowing kind of brush strokes with it. And I think the more tightly you hold it, the more it's going to kind of be a little bit sort of wobbly. Whereas if you can, you know, really flow with it, then you can get those lovely brush strokes. And it's also really good for filling in areas in black, if you want to do that kind of quite quickly and filling in areas. So it's a really good thing to have in your little travel set with you, like I do. And then another thing that I have in my travel set is this, which is a China Sharpie, again, peel-off China marker. And so you may remember as a child you did kind of, I think I have to do a bit more there. Where are we now? So you pull that back with a piece of string, and then you kind of unwrap it. Like that. There we go. Fantastic. You may remember as a child maybe you drew secret messages with a wax candle, and then you kind of painted over the top, and the image is revealed. And you can do that here as well. So you can go secret, and then you get watercolor over the top, and ta-da! And I find that's really good for putting little highlights of clouds and things like that in before you start painting, so that it kind of reveals something underneath it, if that makes any sense at all. So that's a China marker. Now you can tell I love everything Seawhite, so when I'm sort of doing illustrations and things like this, I generally use Seawhite of Brighton A3 heavyweight cartridge paper. I think maybe in the States you might call it sketchbook paper. So this is size for extra wet strength, it's acid free, and it's just really nice paper. I can't really show it to you here, but I really like using that for doing illustrations, watercolour illustrations and things like that, which I stretch out on the paper. So there you are. That's pretty much everything I use every day, and as I say, all the links are in the description box below. Now remember, this Friday is Black Friday, so hopefully you should be able to get some fantastic bargains on Amazon if you follow the links in the description box down below. And if you don't, then what you can do is to put all these things on your Christmas wish list and let all your nearest and dearest know exactly what you would like to get in your Christmas stocking this Christmas, because they don't know what you want unless you tell them. Thanks for watching, and you can support this channel and get so much more on my Patreon page. Click to find out more. Make sure you are subscribed to the Shoo Rayner Drawing Channel on YouTube, and in the meantime, keep drawing, practice, and I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye bye.